Last week on Legally Kidnapped.
Good evening. Our top story this week. This week marks the 10th anniversary of the death of Logan Marr, a 5-year-old foster child from Maine who died after being duct taped to a high chair at the hands of her child protective worker slash foster parent Sally Schofield, also giving Maine the ability to glorify themselves as a new national model for the child protective industry, with the only problems left being that the system is still being run by fakes and frauds who still don't take very good care of the foster children they already have. In California this week, a group of former foster children rally on the state capitol urging better mental health treatment for the state's foster care system. In Florida, the state speaker of the House of Representatives wants to return the ban on gay adoptions. DCF admits they screwed up in a case where a 16-month-old is lying on his deathbed, and a couple of nonprofits fight over a $27 million local foster care contract. The child protective industry of Michigan plans to hire 500 new babystealers right out of college in order to satisfy the demands of the system sucks over at children's rights. In Idaho, budget cuts and low tax revenues are putting a strain on the foster care system while the economy makes for more easy target families. In Kentucky, a judge criticizes the secrecy and lack of accountability in the child protective agencies regarding the deaths of children. Representative Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota preaches out against abortion. Mississippi, with one of the highest rates of incarceration in the country, implements a program to deal with the children of incarcerated parents. A New York state senator makes a YouTube video that teaches parents how to search their kids and houses for weapons and drugs. And the New York juvenile justice system puts kids in jail just to provide other people with jobs. Oregon tries to lower their foster care numbers, and although there are fewer children in Tennessee's foster care system, they want to maintain capacity just in case. The state of Texas keeps a registry of children who have committed abuse against other children, and former President Ronald Reagan's son talks about being abused as a child and combating human trafficking in Texas. The Russians are pissed after the abuse of an adopted Russian orphan is featured on the Dr. Phil show. In Ireland this week, a new study proves that mothers almost always get the kids after divorce. In New Zealand, a cop is caught sending confidential information from the police computer network to his wife in a bid to help her win a custody battle with her ex-husband. The German government is accused of sending children to a legal group in foster homes in Portugal. In Sweden, 2 girls are snatched right from their music class with no evidence of problems, and the foster families are getting rich off of such placements. India considers legalizing non-penetrative sex for 12-year-olds, and in Guam, a pissed-off parent with an extensive gun collection threatens to kill the entire staff at the local Child Protective Services office. In Australia this week, a judge who conducted an inquiry into Victoria's child welfare system says that the state has a bad habit of forgetting child abuse reports. In Canada, the coroner's inquiry into the death of a 3-year-old foster child is ruled a homicide. Saskatchewan's child advocate calls the foster care system broken, and British Columbia's representative for children says that their child welfare system isn't much better. In Ontario, Winnipeg taxi drivers are to begin undergoing mandatory child abuse background checks. In Newfoundland, 2 parents lose their kids due to the mother's low IQ test results. And neighbors are helping to raise money so that the family can mount a legal challenge. In England this week, Professor Eileen Monroe says that social workers aren't able to spend enough time screwing with families because they're stuck doing too much paperwork. A Christian father forgives the pedophile who groomed his daughter, then claims that social services intervention caused more damage than the abuse. Confidential videos of a little girl telling the police about alleged violent child abuse were found at a bus station. 1/3 of adoptions are failing in the UK these days, and telepathy is being used as evidence in a child abuse case. In entertainment news this week, Roseanne Barr sues her ex-husband for violating a divorce agreement regarding custody of their son. Team Mom Star Amber Portwood is harassing her kid's daddy's new girlfriend. Halle Berry is in the midst of a heated custody battle with her ex. Oprah Winfrey finds her long-lost sister, sparking sudden interest for adoptive children to find their birth families. And Sinead O'Connor goes off the deep end begging for social services to help her be a better mother. In this week's Foster Crimes Report, a pair of foster parents from Connecticut who seriously injured a 6-month-old pleads not guilty to shaking the baby. A foster father from New Mexico is facing 45 years in prison after getting away with it in 2004, finally being stopped after his 13-year-old foster daughter videotaped her own sexual assault. A foster father from Washington is charged with raping his foster children, and a social worker from Switzerland admits to sexually abusing 122 children and adults while working in care homes over the last 29 years. The state of Arkansas starts moving disabled children out of residential care facilities after the U.S. Justice Department files a lawsuit claiming that the state-run facilities such as Conway Human Development Center are dangerous and violate civil rights. Father Gary Thomas, an exorcist, blames the internet for the rising number of young people who say that they are possessed by the devil. A domestic violence case is dropped in San Francisco after the false accuser keeps changing her story on the stand. In Connecticut, DCF launched. The state of Arkansas starts moving disabled children out of residential care facilities after the U.S. Justice Department files a lawsuit claiming that the state-run facilities such as Conway Human Development Center are dangerous and violate civil rights. Father Gary Thomas, an exorcist, blames the internet for the rising number of young people who say that they are possessed by the devil. A domestic violence case is dropped in San Francisco after the false accuser keeps changing her story on the stand. In Connecticut, DCF launches an internal investigation into their handling of a case involving a kidnapped girl who thought that she was given up for adoption. Florida Judge John Bowman doesn't want the stories about how he turned his troublesome 16-year-old adopted son back over to the state to hit the newspapers. And a dumbass who didn't set up his wireless internet security gets his router hijacked for child pornography. After months of complaints from relatives, the child protective industry in Massachusetts fails to check on a kid who was hospitalized after being beaten with a belt. A New York caseworker says that she told the truth when she lied about visiting a kid who died from starvation. A father who came to America at 5 years old is married to a pregnant American woman, has 3 American kids, is about to be deported after a 15-year-old drug deal goes bad. And in Pennsylvania, judges now have to list their reasoning for making a custody decision. The producers of the movie War on Kids offers prison clothes to students. The state of Washington settles a lawsuit against 6 brothers in a failure to protect case netting $6.5 million. In Kentucky, 3 girls escape from a group home. A 74-year-old woman from Wisconsin is arrested for the death of a child back in 1957. The Oklahoma judge who was charged with 36 counts of child welfare fraud goes back to work. And finally, tonight in Illinois, the court rules that a man can sue his ex-girlfriend for deceptive use of sperm after she performed oral sex on him, saved and inserted the sperm, becoming pregnant and sucking him dry for child support. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.